So I guess that means all the wind I've been hit with isn't really a fluke. Interestingly enough, it looks like the news about the COVID infections at Shaw's finally hit the news. So today is more roads, and about 20 miles there's a supermarket where I'm going to be able to do the first decent resupply in a while. So probably going to try and get out of here early and see if I can get to that early enough to get food. And then tonight it's going to be stealth camping. You know, there are the shelters scattered around, but I think the next one is Mars Hill, which is like 115. So I'm going to have to just find some place off the road to tuck in. Which, you know, depending on the area, I really don't mind. Back between like Metagamon and Shins Pond, could have stealth camped, no problem whatsoever. On this last road that had like all the houses and everything scattered between, then it gets a little iffier. I don't like being in an area where I think I'm going to freak anybody else out if they just catch sight of me there and they think, oh, some scary bearded guy hiding in the bushes. And I don't like having to wake up at, 1 o'clock in the morning to hear voices and flashlights hitting my tent again. Just completely, harshes my pleasant buzz around being in the wilderness in my tent. So I do now have an appointment to get a COVID travel test on Tuesday. It is currently Saturday, so I'm just going to get as far north as I can and then meet up with my IAT friend up here to go get the test on Tuesday, which means hopefully I'll be able to cross the border on Wednesday. Incidentally, you have to pick up the results in person or you have to get them faxed. Because, we're apparently way back in the 90s. Every single damn morning I stay in one of these things, you know what happens? I stand up, smack my head, make a loud dong, and go, damn it. I looked at the sunshine, and now I have a road ahead, so I'm like, oh, I'm going to put on dry socks. And then I took a look at my, soaking wet shoes and the soaking wet grass and field I'm going to have to walk through to get back to the road, and it's like, yeah, that's a waste. So, wet socks it is. So one would think that my feet would basically be bulletproof at this point, but they aren't, It's basically past the first 1,000 miles or so, you start just having to kind of manage breakdown and injuries and try and take breaks and things like that. Obviously the day off my feet helped a little bit, but with these road walks, I was really limping around the shelter this morning. Basically feels like my entire foot is kind of like squishy and bruised. So that's where the shelter is. And that's the farmhouse where you have to turn. Well, I guess on the plus side, this chilly wind is blowing me towards Canada. So after my experiences down south, I'm kind of on edge anytime I'm near very rural looking houses like this. But at least so far, I've come across a couple of dogs gotten barked at once or twice. But at least they don't seem obsessed with pit bulls up here. So on the PCT, you spend hundreds of miles walking through those things. Welcome to Smyrna. Not much here but a post office, apparently. Mighty baby buffaloes. Things you don't see along the AT. So that was a Amish farmers market. I'm trying to be respectful about where I film. There's a whole bunch of people running around with carts, and my understanding is they don't like being on camera. Okay, so I have had full bars. So I've actually been talking on the phone to Taters this morning for like 2 hours. So what have you missed? Like 10 miles of walking down the road. The Amish were really nice, and then walking on a slightly less busy road. I'm on a frontage road just north of 75, 95, something like that. So it hasn't been too bad. The dogs have mostly been friendly. I'm about 6 more miles until that grocery store I wanted to hit. So yeah, it's 12:30 and I've come 15 miles plus. Gotta love road walks for that, huh? Other than the fact my feet are basically hamburger. So I finally found a shaded patch next to a cemetery to take my shoes off for a minute. They're really getting beat up by this road walking today. Okay, just reached Holton. It looks like there's a Walmart and a supermarket, so I'm going to have my options. After this, it looks like I'm going to be on a ATV trail and a rail trail, so I'm hopeful I'm going to be able to stealth. I did find a KOA, but that's a mile off trail. So that's 2 miles round trip if I go all the way out there. I'll do it if I'm going through houses like what I have been, because there hasn't been much in the way of stealthing options so far on this road. But we'll see. Once again, grocery stores are a hedonistic land of temptation that I really struggle with. Blondie was better. I'd just send her in and she would avoid getting all the things. Part of the decadence, new smart water bottles. I'm gonna miss the taste of mold that's been going around the mouthpiece for a bit. Okay, so that was an amazing resupply. Basically, that store had every single thing I could possibly want except the brand of instant coffee packets I would have wanted. And I have more of those coming, so didn't even need those. So yeah, on the plus side, lots of yummy food. On the downside, since I'm intending to do a stealthy dry camp, I am carrying 2.5 liters of water plus a thing of wine, which is a bit on the heavy side. And my feet are already beat up from doing 21 miles to get here. So I've been on that road all day. And now, ATV trail, which is gonna jump to a rail trail. So at least I'm off the road for a little bit. Would appear to be a visibly traveled ATV trail, considering I've seen 2 ATVs in my first 2 minutes out here. Nothing like a good long 20-mile some road walk to make you appreciate going through the trees on an ATV path. So one of my takeaways from the Alabama section was I should have been a little more proactive about approaching, businesses and people and asking if I could camp on their property. This probably wouldn't be a bad option, but doesn't seem to be anybody around. And invariably, it seems to be really easy to find a place to camp at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Once you get to 5 or 6 p.m. and you actually need to camp, nobody's around. Or if they are, they don't want to talk. Okay, so welcome to the stealthing game. Basically, the ATV trail is over there. As near as I can tell, there's not actively no trespassing signs here. It seems like it's a tree farm. Probably safe. I'm not visible, but I hate making trouble. And last thing I want to do is freak anybody out because they're like, oh, weird bearded guy, he's hiding in the bushes over there. So I'm just hanging out for a little while, making sure nobody shows up and I don't hear anything. Because every now and then, you set up and you think you're good, right? And then the sun goes down and like right over there, you see there's a house and you're like, oh. And I'm not the least visible person in the world, the neon pack and everything. So ironically, one of my best stealth camping experiences was right on the side of a highway in Florida because I was tucked back and there was no way anybody was going to come back there to see me. I had some cows staring at me from the other side of a fence and some armadillos like hustling around my tent at night, but it was cozy. Okay, stealthy home sweet home for the night. The only bad thing about my spot is there's like one little spot where if somebody is coming down the ATV road and they look left, they can see my tent, but should be okay. This is way better than a lot of them I've done. Okay, this is a bit more like it. The traffic noise, the industrial noise, and everything else let off around 9 o'clock, so it's actually been a decent night here. You know what they say about stealth camping solo? It means never having to go far to dig a cat hole. Okay, so once things quieted down around 9, this was actually a rather pleasant camp, and honestly, even with the background noise, I would have been okay. I didn't have to worry about anybody tripping over me, and that's the important part. Okay, so I am basically resupplied until my mail drop at Fort Fairfield right before I go across the border. I have my COVID test all lined up for Tuesday. Trail seems pretty clear ahead. I think I'm going to be on ATV roads for most of today, hopefully. There is a campsite in 24 miles that has one comment saying it's not so great a campsite, so probably stealthing again tonight. There's also a 50% chance of rain today, but quite frankly, lately, when is there not? I had actually heard something about northern Maine being in a drought, but if so, I guess my arrival has fixed that. You're welcome. Yeah, so there are options. Stardust is right across from that KOA I talked to yesterday. I am hearing traffic in the distance, but it is quite nice out here. So this would appear to be a shelter that did not appear on gut hooks. Interesting. So the IAT coordinator did say that there was a shelter they ended up having to abandon because it became a local party spot. I assume that's this. Doesn't look abandoned though. I mean, it's really clean. All the signs are gone, but there's not even like a no camping sign. Granted, knowing how these things go, if there was a no camping sign, it's probably burned in that illegal fire pit over there. I guess this is what I get for putting my sunglasses on this morning. I do believe I'm gonna get some rain. Per the forecast, it's supposed to clear up by evening, so maybe I'll have a chance to dry out before camp, huh? Here we go again. So I did have some other resupply plans, that Sunoco, for example, but didn't really need it. Oh man, Canada's only 12 miles away. Unfortunately, Fort Kent is the one where my test will be. Oh well. There are ATVs out here. I just got passed by two that looked quite cozy inside their enclosed vehicles. Okay, I want to see the pet ducks. So more than anything on these busy road sections, it's not really the risk of getting hit by a car. I found I've been able to mitigate that pretty well by, you know, paying attention and walking on the correct side of the road. It's just the traffic noise. Every time the cars come by, I basically can't listen to my audiobook. Okay, not only has the rain stopped, but that blue building way over there apparently is a restaurant, and I could use a hot lunch. Blue Moose. Okay, so that made for a really nice stop. I was able to charge my phone, drink about 4 cups of coffee, and there's blue sky again for the moment. Though, considering I just put on my sunglasses, I'm sure that the rain's coming back. So you know how I was saying that I was just stressing about the border crossing, and then it's only winter. It's all good, right? So apparently there is a 150 some mile section, which would make for a very long food carry, especially if conditions are, you know, heavy snow, stuff like that. And general delivery in Canada, I guess, in order to do that, you have to go in person and petition for it. So that'll be a little bit of a challenge, but you know, we can probably get a hotel and then send stuff there. The other thing is apparently there are some hunting closures up there that run from September to November. So that could make things a little interesting. We're trying to figure out details. Where's Taters when you need her? Giant bridge. Hey, another shelter that is located in just the wrong location. For me, anyway. Other than the trash in the fire pit, not too bad. Also, somebody seems to have shot the plaque a couple of times. So apparently the thing with this shelter is every high school senior within 30 miles comes here and signs it. Which, based on some of these signatures, doesn't surprise me. Now we're go sunny, and now back to the rain. So the storms today were all little isolated shotgun blasts. They'd come up on me, hit, and then be gone within, 30 minutes. I actually got a special weather statement for at least one of them. Okay, I am currently doing a 0.2 mile out and back blue blaze for a very important waypoint along the way. Yes, at long last, that is it. I have hiked over 4,200 miles to visit Uranus. Well, I went into Bridgewater to go see Uranus, insert your joke here, and I figured I would fill up my water bottle on the way out of town. That way I wouldn't have to filter out of, who knows what ditch up here. That didn't go so well. No public water fountains, and anybody I tried to approach seemed to leave before I could get there, so onwards I go. Okay, I got a flattish spot off trail and access to water, so home sweet home for the night. Another 20-something mile day.